know, even with taking last night off, it looks like I'm still in pretty good shape. Not too shabby. So at the end of the day, 18,747 words, I'm pretty happy with that. You can see that I leveled off a little yesterday with only doing the morning writing, but picked right back up today. For some bizarre reason, I jumped into a race to 25K against QueenEmilicious. I will link her video below where she's looking for people to race with her towards 25,000 words by midnight Sunday night. I should have checked. That's our own local time, right? Because otherwise, being in Australia, Emily, you've got a really big advantage there over most of the rest of us. But I'm sure that's local time. That said, last weekend I got over 8,000 words, and I'm already over 18,000 words, so if I can stay on track, that should be very doable. We'll see. A big theme today seems to be talking about self-esteem, validation, and sort of how we support ourselves when we have those moments of, I'm not good enough, I should just give this up. I'll link to a couple of videos below that touch on that in different ways, because that looks a little different in each of us, as much as it's common with creative people in particular, but really people in general. I talk about imposter syndrome with my students all the time because it always comes up. Everybody always thinks they're not good enough. The ones who think they're more than good enough typically really don't think they're good enough, and that's why they're projecting the opposite. That said, doesn't mean it's not a problem just because everybody has it. How that looks in me is apparently spending the last couple of days talking about and worrying about whether or not my story is far enough removed from the TV series that inspired it. And not even the series as a whole, but the specific character that inspired it. There are so many reasons that doesn't matter, really. Because again, if it turns out it's not, and I decide to change them all back into the characters they were inspired by, that's fine. And just post it as fan fiction. That's fine. Or there's this magical thing, again, something I teach my students about, so you'd think I'd be a little tuned into it. It's called revising. People do that. I do that. I do that extensively. So why I'm so worried about whether something gets too close on the first draft, I don't know. Yes, I do. Imposter syndrome. There's different ways to attack that. Affirmations are one of my personal favorites, actually. I may need to write one that's specific to this. Hanging on to something tangible that shows that you are actually capable of doing what it is you think you're doing. I lucked out in a sense that with the timing of when the anthology I wrote for this summer came in, so I can look over on the shelf and say, yep, that might also be fan fiction, but hey, it was evaluated blind to see who was going to be included. Not the pieces that ended up in there, because we didn't get our assignments until after we were determined to be in the book. But we had to submit work that people evaluated without knowing who we are, and somebody thought it was good what I sent in. So, and I'm actually pretty proud of the story that ended up in there. So that's the type of thing that's useful to hang on to as a reminder that, yeah, you can do this. You can write and people might even read it and like it. That leads to a different thing which Becca C. Smith had mentioned, which is feedback from readers. That's one of the things that's hugely different with original fiction versus fan fiction, and that probably needs its own vlog unto itself. But for now, if you are also struggling with this as you're working on your NaNoWriMo project or whatever you're working on right now, just know that feeling of I'm not good enough, I've been getting away with something, everybody thinks I'm better than I am, my friends are just being nice to me, that's universal. Everybody feels that way. And it's okay. You are good enough. You're fine and you're going to rock this. So am I. We all are. Good night.